In the first 2 episodes of the Portage Health Foundation's Addiction series, we've learned about how serious of an issue addiction is in our community and how the brain controls so much of it. I'm Sarah Blakely, TV6 Morning News co-anchor and your host for this series. Today we'll dive into why we as a community need to be more understanding and supportive of those who are struggling with addiction. We'll hear from Rebecca Crane from Dial Help, Bernadette Yeoman-Ouellette and Kevin Storr from the Portage Health Foundation, Mark Maggio from Phoenix House, and a plea for support from Nikki Collins, who used to struggle with addiction herself.
I think the number one thing that I feel, and when I was talking to my staff about this, is that there's a lot of misunderstanding and stigma around substance abuse. I think that people a lot of times think it's a moral issue or it's a matter of willpower, and they don't really understand how addiction gets rooted to begin with and how it's self-perpetuating. And I guess to me, it's sort of like saying to someone with diabetes or cancer, if you just had enough willpower, you would just get over this, and not realizing that for a lot of people it gets to a point where they absolutely need to have help in order to recover, and that recovery is possible. So I guess my number one answer to that would be to sort of become educated, and also to, in a non-judgmental, non-stigmatized way, encourage the people in your life to reach out to us, the Phoenix House, all the providers, because treatment is available and we can help them get connected to those things.
Many of us have this image of an addict as being something we formulated back in the 60s and 70s, where people were dropouts and didn't really have anything to contribute to society.
It's not that dope smoking junkie, that dropout, that is the face of addiction. It's the business professional who had a knee replacement done last year and was prescribed painkillers and now is hooked and is getting heroin. It's that young mother who went in for a root canal. It's, the face of addiction has dramatically shifted. And as a community, one of the first things that we can do to be part of the solution and start addressing this is to recognize that that is the case.
I think that society as a whole is beginning to take a different approach to addiction, seeing it more of at least acknowledging that there's the disease concept is a real thing. But I would say that in practice, it's still viewed as a choice. I understand how that stigma starts, and can people, and especially professionals, see past that and get past that and recognize that that's just a very sick individual, versus seeing them as defiant and resistant and problematic. And so I understand where some of the stigma comes from, because we're dealing with these people that, quite frankly, and I myself, I did some horrible things. And, for some people, I think that's hard to get past. They see that, and then it's just, that's what they see, and it creates a fear and anger within them. But the reality is, understanding the addiction for what it is, and understanding the physiology of the brain functioning and how it shuts down those rational parts of the brain. And if you're a successful, normal person walking through life and you're looking at someone that's neglectful or irresponsible, if we're judging it based on that, it's a difficult concept.
However, I think in our community, we have a substantial amount of amazing people who have recovered and who have arrested the disease of active addiction. I think that more should come forward and be like, hey, I got 5 years in, I've got 2 days in, And of course, Java being here, I think that I'm not, like I always say this, I'm not here because I have a coffee house. I'm here to be of service and, help addiction.
If you take nothing else away from this series, we hope that you learn to be more compassionate to those who are suffering from addiction, even if you don't believe it's a disease. Your support could be life-saving. In the next episode, we'll take a look at law enforcement's role in addiction. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, know that there are resources available in our community. Dial Help is a great place to start. They have a crisis line 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, based right here in the Copper Country. Just dial 906-482-HELP. text 90635-NEEDS, or chat live with someone at dialhelp.org. If you're in any kind of medical emergency, dial 911 immediately. To learn more about the resources available in our community or to subscribe for email alerts for future episodes, just visit phfgive.org/addiction.